Hello, thank you for joining me again. Today I'm going to show you how I draft most of the sock sweaters that I make for various different body sizes and shapes. With that in mind, I'm actually going to use a different doll than you've been seeing. Most of my videos so far have been for smart dolls. This one is going to be for a resin BJD ball joint doll, and I have named her Iris. She is a Fairyland doll in the 65 size, like the Feeple65, which is, she's a big girl. I thought she'd be a fun challenge to see if I could make a comfortable looking sock sweater for, and it worked. It turned out really cute, and I'm happy to show it to you. It does take 4 socks though, 2 patterned socks and 2 plain black ones. Without further ado, let's take some measurements. I've drawn out the pattern pieces, and first measurement I am going to take is around her bust at the widest point. Came out to 27 centimeters. So I take 27 and I round it up to 28, and I round it up to 30 because it's a sweater, so it can have some extra room. And so I divide it in half because there's going to be a back side and a front side. And then I just kind of test it out, see if it looks comfy. Then I'm going to measure from her neck to where I want the sweater to hang. And that's going to be the whole measurement. We don't divide that by anything. Now I want to find out what the arm side measurement is going to end up needing to be. It's a little trickier to line this one up comfortably, but you basically just run it from her neck, under her arm, to the back of her neck. And here I'm thinking about how I want to divide this number up, because I got 15, and divided by 2, of course, that's going to be 7.5. So I think, alright, we'll do 7.5, because I'm thinking this piece is going to be the front and the back piece. And then I changed my mind. And unfortunately, I'm going to change my mind back when we start actually sewing. But in the meantime, I've decided to designate a front and a back side to the sleeve and draw out a whole new back pattern. This is something that would probably be more important for actual human-sized clothing, because you don't want your neck piece to cut into the front of your neck, but it can go up a lot higher in the back. For dolls, that's considerably less of an issue, because honestly the dolls aren't gonna complain, and it's more about how it looks than how it feels. So yeah, take separating out the front and the back with a grain of salt. It is honestly not really necessary, but I did it, and the front is going to be the smaller number because we want that to go down farther. Now we're measuring the neck, and you keep it kind of loose, because what I was measuring was where I wanted the fabric to go, not necessarily her actual neck measurement. And I think I got 16 with it, so I divided 16 by 4 because the sleeves are going all the way up to her neck as well, so they are part of the neck seam. So then it's 4 in the front, 4 for both sleeves, and then 4 for the back. Next measurement is the sleeve width, which we're going to use the whole measurement for, because of course each sleeve is a single piece. That came out to like 12, I think. 10 centimeters. Okay. I'm glad I took this picture, so you can kind of see the numbers that I had written down and the decisions that I had made. And now we've got our fabric, we're going to start actually cutting things out. This is where I kind of abandoned the front and the back being different, because sock fabric is really squishy, and it was actually kind of difficult to do the way I wanted to. We're using the black socks for the sleeves, so of course we need to measure out the longest length, and I was just checking to make sure that in the end I was going to have enough fabric, and I did, so that was good. Sorry, that got a little out of shot there, but we're basically cutting up the side of the sock. I'm trying to follow the knit pattern in the sock. I have run into trouble with that though, because with cheaper socks, the knit pattern is very crooked. So take that with a grain of salt and do it on your best discretion, because I don't want you to put all that work in and have it come out crooked. Now we're pinning out the heels because of course her elbows don't need extra heel fabric. It just looks weird, so we just sew that flat. And I changed my mind apparently. Decided I was going to figure out the exact width first. I always have a little bit of trouble with sock fabric because it is so squishy. Also, sorry for getting my head in there. I did eventually default into drawing on the fabric with chalk because my watercolor pencil didn't work even a little bit. Chalk though, chalk is pretty reliable and it washes out really easily. So I drew the width. And then we go back and we pinch out those heels again. I do so much stuff by sight. You can see me line things up just to double check like a million times. Once it's all drawn on there though, we cut it out. I think I added an extra centimeter to the sleeve too. I do that sometimes, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes I end up with sleeves that are just way too long. It's a work in progress for me. I use my first piece to line up with the second piece so that we can get our second sleeve as similar shaped as possible. Working around the heels is probably my least favorite part of using socks. They're just always in the way. I think I was lining it up with her arm off camera just to double check the length. Definitely recommend doing that. It has never steered me wrong. Now I'm kind of trying to find where the seam is. A lot of socks I've noticed will have one just glaringly obvious seam where the pattern kind of breaks, but I couldn't find them on this one. They actually hit it very well. These were some pretty nicely made socks. So it was pretty much my choice where I wanted to cut up to separate it and make it not a tube. I just chose the back of the heel. Now I'm just checking my numbers to see how to draw the pattern into the shape I want it to be. Keeping in mind that you are going to want to leave yourself seam allowance as well. So if it doesn't look like my tape measure is going exactly to the end of the fabric, it's because it's not. I wanted to leave myself at least a half a centimeter for sewing. And then I lined it up and cut. I gave up on the chalk, and on the lighter fabric I used pencil, which, fair warning, probably won't wash out very well, so don't use a lot of it. This is kind of where I gave up and decided it would, the front and the back were going to basically be the same. I tested them out on her and made sure it was going to fit okay. And now the important part of adding the oh, okay, I sewed those off camera. That's right, I don't have sewing footage for this video, I'm sorry. But we sewed those off camera. So now we have basically rectangles. And I am going to cut the correct length diagonal into the sleeves so that they will line up nicely with the body of the sweater. And again, we match it up so we have two as near identical sleeves as we can make. Always a challenge with fiddly socks. And now with right sides together, we're going to sew the sleeve to the body of the sweater. And I'm going to do 3 of the 4 seams. You'll see why I skip the 4th seam for when I want to put the collar on. Now the collar we're going to do out of the top of the sock because it's nice stretchy collar-like material. You want to gently stretch the collar so that when it's actually on the doll, it will pull in a little bit towards her neck, and it just tends to lay much nicer that way. I try to make it as even as possible. Run that through, and that's actually looking pretty cool. So I think I was deciding what order to go in, and I was very annoyed when I did the 4th one. I decided that it needed to be flatter. Best way to do that is honestly with a hammer. You can see my camera shaking. Oh no. But yeah, so and it flashed by so quick, but I had also hemmed the bottom. And now we're just cutting off all the extra material from the collar that was in there. It lays much flatter now that after we've beaten the snot out of it. And oh, we hemmed our sleeves too. Perfect. So the sleeves are hemmed, the bottom is hemmed. All we have left is to sew up the side seams and the sleeves. And yay, it fits! I really love how this one turned out. I love the spooky cute aesthetic, and I thought it really suited her and was also very happy with how the measurements all turned out. She ends up looking fantastic in it. It looks tailored to fit, which of course it is. So I hope it was helpful to see how I get my numbers for making these simple little sock sweaters. Thank you so much for joining me again, and please stay tuned, hit like, subscribe, so you can see what else we come up with. Have a great one.